In the land of earth, wind, and fire on this 21st night of September, the Dallas Cowboys hope to make it a night to remember as Eberflus returns to Soldier Field now as defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott and company fresh off an overtime win in Week 2. Now invade the Windy City in Week 3 of the 2025 NFL season. It's the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Chicago Bears, and this is Pregame Live, presented by WinStar World Casino and Resorts. We are here from the Globe Life Studios at the Star in Frisco alongside Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Nicole Hutchison will join us shortly. Nick Eatman will join us on the sidelines out at Soldier Field very soon as well. Excited about this matchup. The Cowboys enter at 1-1, the Bears at 0-2, and it's an opportunity to celebrate a little bit because we're back to football, and this is a meaningful game this early in the season.
Very much so. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys are sitting at 1-1. They could have easily been 0-2, just like the Chicago Bears, and they still have a lot to prove. They got to figure out exactly who they are, what the identity and the ethos of their team is, and they have to do so versus a team that wants to get right against the Dallas Cowboys. Ben Johnson versus he has the new keys to the city. The guy who had to give up the keys to the city, and Matt Eberflus. They're going head-to-head. One's an offensive mind, one's a defensive mind. Can't wait.
Man, you know what I'm thinking about heading into this game?
What are you thinking about?
Can this offense be as explosive as it was last week? Can they be consistent? I mean, we got a glimpse of what CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens can do on the outside. We know Javvante Williams, I mean, the way he's running behind his pads, it's something fierce right now. But if they're able to consistently put this in and week out, they're going to put the league on notice for sure.
Consistency. Wow. First week, we shut out Philadelphia dual threat wide receivers. The second week, we couldn't even stop the Giants. So, hey, we need for our secondary to be tight, and we need to stay in our lanes on the rush lane.
Let's talk about that secondary a little bit. They allowed 450 passing yards to Russell Wilson last week. Here are some of those guys that will be available, but also some that will not be available. Deron Bland out for the second straight week. Trayvon Diggs listed as questionable, though. Good news coming from the sidelines in Soldier Field. It appears he will be available. The inactives are going to come out at any second now, so we'll talk about that moving forward. But Barry, I'll start with you, our resident defensive back. What's your confidence in this secondary so far?
Confidence, it's wavering a little bit. You know, it's teeter-tottering here and there, but I believe they'll be able to bounce back this week because all of the mistakes they had last week, I believe, are coachable. I mean, you had a lot of pre-snap things going wrong, whether it's communication, whether it's alignment, not being in the right spot, or knowing who you're going against. Those are all things that are coachable. You have a secondary out there with guys. They may not have all the experience in the world, but they've played at high levels, each and every one of them. So for me, all these mistakes, they're coachable, and I believe this secondary will bounce back against the Chicago Bears.
Oh, you believe or you hope?
Hopium.
Hope, sir. Listen, I would like to see this secondary get back to what they did Week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, you're going to say, yes, they stopped the dual threat attack of the Philadelphia Eagles and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, but they allowed Jalen Hurts to go out there and hurt you with some extension of plays and some, crossing the line of scrimmage, utilizing his legs. I'd much rather face that because you don't want to allow Roma Dunze. You do not want to allow DJ Moore to get off. They have the two-headed monster at tight end. Play defense, keep everything in front of you. Don't allow the big play.
And Eberflus, we have to trust. All the guys got to do. Coaches I come from, at least line up and try to do what I ask you to do, and then from there we can make adjustments. That's all these guys got to do is just line up where they need to.
That alignment, that assignment, that communication, all of those things play a factor for the Cowboys on the secondary. You can say the same thing about this offensive line, too, dealing with the loss in their own right. And, well, let's talk about those offensive linemen because this is your favorite. This is your favorite topic of conversation. I want to show you something that we saw on social media this week. This is from Byron High School, about 100 miles west of Chicago, Illinois. This is how their offensive line arrives on game day. You expect the same thing out of a guy like Brock Hoffman to come in and get out of the cattle trailer looking to move people out of the way as he fills in for Cooper Beebe today in that Cowboys offensive line. That's one way to make an appearance.
Yeah, that's a great way to make an appearance, man. I wish we would have did that in school because I was a bull, baby.
You love it. Love it.
Yeah.
And you're hoping Brock Hoffman's that for the Cowboys in this one. Brock Hoffman filling in for Cooper Beebe, out 6 to 8 weeks with that fracture in his ankle. Nate, when you look at this offensive line, how does it change now without your starting center?
Not as much. I think Brock Hoffman, what he lacks maybe is the athletic ability that Cooper Beebe has, but he makes up for it because he's physical, he's mean, he's an antagonizer. It'll be okay.
I think it'll be okay as well. I like Brock Hoffman and what he brings to this team. You want to talk about, I don't want to take anything away from Cooper Beebe. He's a starter for a reason, but Brock Hoffman to Cooper Beebe is not that drastic of a drop-off. He knows the offense. He knows the calls. He's comfortable with the guys he's playing next to, and the coaches and his teammates, especially his quarterback, trust him. And that along with the fact that he is a mauler up there, and when he looks to his left, he's going to see Tyler Smith. He looks to his right, he's going to see Tyler Booker. That three-headed monster at the tip of the spear, I'll take it all day long.
Yeah, we love to have a speedy recovery for BB out there. This is a guy that, the first 2 weeks was just playing better and better, and the level of competition he had out there was outstanding. But I'm with you guys on this one. When you talk about Hoffman, I don't believe the level of play will drop off that significantly, and he's a guy that you love to have in your foxhole. Like you guys said, he plays through the whistle. He's a nasty guy. He understands how to get underneath the skin of those defenders, and that's the type of guy you want to have on your offensive line.
When you talk about the confidence level up front, at the center position, it's a little bit different than the guard and the tackle spot because there's still trust between guard and tackle in the quarterback position, but it's not the same than with your center. Dak Prescott says he's confident with Brock Hoffman at the center position. How does your confidence level change when your center up front is out and you have to make a switch up front because of the snap to quarterback exchange?
Well, the potential drop-off in terms of communication and confidence is in regards to that communication with your center. Your center has a responsibility for coming up to the line of scrimmage and being like AWA, okay, like Avatar, okay? The connection between them and the land is the connection between your quarterback and your center. You have to be seeing the same things. When you point out the Mike linebacker, you have to understand that he understands exactly what you're looking for, where the protection goes, because Nate and the rest of the offensive linemen are looking at that center saying, where does our protection turn? Who are we responsible for? So that's why that center position is so important, because he is the quarterback of the offensive line.
Yeah, and from a defensive perspective, Hoffman, get ready. All right, because when you look at it, defensive coordinators and these guys, when they see that backup player getting put in the game, they're going to try all type of stunts. They're going to try all type of twists to try to get underneath him to understand if he's as good as BB is when you talk about picking up these protections. They're going to be blitzing linebackers, having all types of different stunts to see if he can hold his weight out there, but I believe Brock Hoffman can do just that.
Well, you two guys brought everything. I can't add to that. Listen
sure
to these
you
guys.
can.
When they were Pop Warner guys, they probably played offensive lineman, but I played that thing on a different level.
No.
Let me tell you something. Hey, what y'all said is perfect, brother.
I do have a question for you, though, Nate. Being that Brock Hoffman is known for his aggressiveness, okay? If there's a fight on the field, most likely he's in the middle of it. He probably started it.
Yeah.
Can his aggressiveness be utilized against him as a defensive coordinator playing against him?
No. This kid is I've never seen him get a flag on him against him. He's always been the first to punch, the first to grab, the first to do whatever it takes to get the other guy upset, and then the flag comes from the other side. He's a smart guy.
Gotcha.
That's what we love about him. He's smart. He'll get up under your skin, Barry. But you know what? When you punch me, he'll go all crazy. You notice that?
Exactly.
He's never got a flag that hurt his team.
There you go.
So he's a smart guy.
Yeah. And that's something that fans I know have been looking for, because it is a bit of a different mentality when it comes to Cooper Beebe, to Brock Hoffman, just in terms of the persona between the two guys at the center position. Chicago, Illinois, first trip for the Cowboys out to the Windy City since 2019. They have not won there since 2014 when Barry Church was on that Dallas Cowboys team up in Chicago. Let's go to Soldier Field, where we are now joined by Nick Eatman on the sidelines. And Nick, I know going into the week there was a question mark around the weather and possibly some rain. Even the coaching staff talking about it. It looks like a beautiful day so far. Is the weather going to play a factor at all out there at Soldier Field?
Well, right now, if it does play a factor, it's going to be because of the heat. I mean, it is pretty warm here, a little warm for this jacket, but for the most part, no, I don't see it now.
Keep going, Nick. Keep going.
I just feel like, it doesn't seem like it right now. I haven't looked at the last forecast. I'm sure the people that are going to be down here the most of the game, like the players and the people running the cameras here, they might be concerned by it. But, I think it is something to look at if it does start raining, just because look at that week 1 game. All the points happened before the rain came in and the delay, and after that, it shut it down. So certainly they could be a factor. But right now, it's really hot more than anything.
Nick, I'm sorry to cut you off there, man, but everybody wants to know about Brock Hoffman, man. I know they had a bunch of walkthroughs. Was those walkthroughs to make sure that the offensive line is on key with what they're doing and the secondary knowing what they're supposed to do?
Of course. I mean, that the more practice that they can do. Now, Nate, you're asking me. I mean, you watch more practice than me. They don't stop you out on the field. You can see anything. But yeah, I think as Schottenheimer and this staff, I mean, they got to get things in order, especially when you're having a new center. He's the guy that starts it all. We saw a fumbled snap right off the bat, so I think that's something they've been working on. Shotgun snaps are obviously going to be big. The good thing about it is, and I heard you guys talking about it before I got on, is just the experience Hoffman has, and also the scrappiness and things like that. But he's got more than that. He's got the experience. I think that's first and foremost. He's played games, and if you go back and look at when he's in the game, they've had success. Whether it be guard or center, it's not like things just shut down because he's in the game. In fact, in certain instances, they actually did better when he was in there. So not to start a center controversy or anything like that, but I think they're going to be fine with him in there.
All right, Nick, I need to know, with Matt Eberflus and the Dallas Cowboys defense being at the bottom statistically in terms of pass defense and rush defense at this point in the season, and Ben Johnson being the offensive genius he is with his back against the wall facing 0-2, who is the one person for Chicago offensively that you have to circle and say we must stop this individual?
Well, I'm not going genius yet on Ben Johnson. I'm not going to do all that because remember, Eberflus was a defensive genius too, and now all of a sudden it's not that way. Let's see. I mean, I need to see some geniusness out of Ben Johnson's offense before I go there. Things are a little different when you're the head coach. Now, you're asking a question of which players. How about Rome Odunze? He's a guy that, I think when you look at J.J. Moore and you look at Luther Burton, those guys are going to be really good. They're quick and shifty. But a big physical, a receiver like Odunze, you see him over the middle with slants, and he can go deep, but he's also a possession guy. That's the one that gives, I think, every cornerback the most fits, and he'd be the guy I'd be looking at for the Cowboys secondary.
All right, Nick. Now, we all saw those explosive plays that this Dallas defense gave up last week against the New York Giants. A lot of that had to do with the communication in the secondary, but also the lack of pressure on Russell Wilson as he was able to sit in that pocket and pretty much pick this secondary apart. How do you see this defense, generating pressure against Caleb Williams and making things easier on the secondary this afternoon?
Well, I would have liked to have said Jadeveon Clowney, but since he's not going to be active, I can't go with that route. But you're right. It's the pass rush. It starts with the pass rush. It's always the pass rush. And that's, no offense, Barry, but I do feel like it starts there first. You get pass rush, then I think the secondary can make a lot more plays. And so that's what they've got to dial up. I mean, I know they said it in the Micah Parsons trade press conference that, Eberflus can dial up pressure if he needs to. Get the phone out, man, because that's what they need. They got to get some pressure, and first and foremost, and put Caleb Williams, keep him in the pocket. He'll make some throws, I think, to both teams. Keep him in the pocket.
That's a big thing for the Cowboys defense to look at because they struggled with that in week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles, but it's certainly something that they'll continue to move fast going into that matchup on defense. Speaking on the offensive side, there's been some emphasis from Brian Schottenheimer to get a quick start. How big is that start going to be for the Cowboys in this one? We'll talk to Schottenheimer. Here's what he had to say early in the week.
I mentioned it to him the other day that we got to start faster. You can't, defer and then have the defense out there for 18 plays. So it's important. There's no magic button that says, hey, we're going to start fast. You talk about it. You really emphasize the openers. You open it, you emphasize your third down calls on defense. You emphasize the special team stuff. And, but there's no real magic way to do that. So you don't over talk about it, but we do have to start faster.
So Coach Schottenheimer talking about starting fast this week. That is a huge key, Isaiah. How big of a key is that to possibly getting a win against Chicago?
I think it's huge. I mean, anytime that you're away from home, you definitely want to get off to a good start. You don't want to be playing behind offensively, especially when you're going against a team that can be dangerous offensively with all the weapons that they have and the offensive mind that's calling those plays. So I think getting off to a good start, confidence-wise, coming off a tight win and overtime. Like I said, the Dallas Cowboys could easily be 0-2 right now. I know they're 1-1 and they're feeling good, but you almost lost last week, so you definitely need to get off to a good start.
I just think if you're on defense, get your 3 and out, or either a quick turnover. but make sure you get out off the field fast defensively. If you're offensive, go to one of your big studs. Go to Pickens or go to CD and let them get the tempo started. And then from that point there, pick the tempo up and go no huddle if you just want to change the outset.
Yeah, for me, it comes down to penalties. We saw last week, I believe it was 12 for 106 yards. A lot of those penalties are drive killers, and that to me can douse the momentum that the Cowboys may have early on. So to me, to start fast, you've got to be a disciplined team. Go out there, make sure you're not having drive killing penalties out there, and keep that momentum rolling both offensively and defensively. But to me, it comes down to penalties early on. Keep that mojo rolling into the second half, and you should be able to pull away from the Chicago Bears team.
Man, one way that you can start fast as well, you control the line of scrimmage, you get behind those big blockers up front, and you run the football effectively. And you continue to move the ball down the field. With more on that, one of the guys that's been running the ball effectively, what's his name, Isaiah?
Javvante Williams.
That's way better than I could have ever put it. He had an opportunity to sit down with Nicole Hutchison earlier this week.
When you think about the way you started here, how much of it is you finally being fully healthy, and how much of it is, this offense just getting the best out of you?
Yeah, like you said, I think it's a combination of both. Just being healthy. I think a big part of it is just my confidence. Just the way the coaches embrace me, my teammates. It just made me feel good being here.
Motion now from Tolbert, inside handoff, Javvante Williams, and he breaks free, and Williams has a head of steam, and Williams to the end zone.
Talk about a 30-yard touchdown run going untouched like it was just nothing. Where would you rank that amongst your rushing touchdowns throughout your career?
Yeah, probably second behind my first one.
Okay.
Just my first one in the NFL. That was a big one for me, but that one definitely felt good.
I do want to talk about that touchdown run, because you've known for, and I've said this before to you, you've been known for, lowering the shoulder and punishing defenders and things like that bruiser style. But when I look at the film, I see some burst. I see some explosiveness. Do you feel like that's a part of your game that kind of gets overlooked sometimes?
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like a big part of that is just knowing the scheme now. Just being more comfortable, knowing the plays, knowing where it's supposed to hit, being able to set up the blocks, and my O-line. I got the best O-line in the league.
Hey, best O-line in the league. I love it. I love it. Has that always been the case, though? Like, growing up playing football, or not even growing up, but through college, do you feel like that was a part of your game that was overlooked?
Yeah, definitely. I always felt like I was versatile. I do. I am physical, but I feel like a lot of people try to just place that tag on me. I feel like I can really do everything on the field.
Javvante Williams, bang at left guard, and the Cowboys score the first touchdown of the season.
You played linebacker your first 3 years at high school. You didn't start playing running back till your senior year in high school. Drafted to the second round out of UNC. Battled some injuries, right? Had some success as well in this league. How would you define your journey in the NFL?
Really like a roller coaster. It'd be some days you be up and then some days you down. That's probably just life, but you gotta be able to deal with it, take the highs with the lows.
Well, one of those lows is, battling an ACL, MCL, PCL injury in 2022. What was kind of going through your mind as far as the future of your career at that time?
It was rough. Like I said, I had never got hurt before, maybe like a sprained ankle or something like that, but tearing my ACL was crazy because I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't think it was that serious when it first happened. I just seen like my teammates like sad and all that. I'm like, I'll be back next week. Like what y'all mad about? But then when I found out like how serious it was and how much worse it could have been, that's when it really like hit me hard, and just the rehab, all that.
When you got the call that you were coming to Dallas, what were you doing and what went through your mind?
Yeah, I was actually back home working out, and Coach Foster had called me and was talking to me and just introducing himself. And I remember him from the Chargers. Like right after I signed, I remember I was talking to Coach Shoddy, and I was just like, I don't know, everything just feel like that was the right decision. Like I didn't know back then that all this was gonna happen, but I just felt like, I don't know, that's where I'm supposed to be at.
There was also some doubt amongst fans, amongst the media of whether or not Javvante Williams would be the answer at running back. What did that fuel in you? I've
been dealing with that for like the past 2 years, and really, I really try to like cut it all out, because I remember it'll be days I just go look on Google and just see everything people be saying. I'm like, dang, but like, it really might be over, but then I just had to lock back in and just believe in myself, trust in God, and just know you just gotta keep going. It ain't gonna just happen overnight. But I really kind of started tuning that out and just started focusing on myself, like just make sure you're doing everything right. So down the road it don't hurt you.
Javvante Williams with 3 touchdowns in his first 2 games, joining just Herschel Walker and Alvin Blunt as the 2 guys in this, now 3 guys in this franchise's history to have 3 touchdowns in their first 2 games with the organization. As we're now joined by Nicole Hutchison. And Nicole, that was a part of the First and 10 interview series. You can check all of that out on YouTube, the Cowboys social channels. But it really seemed like he has a level of confidence that has just continued to grow since signing with the Cowboys this summer.
Yeah, it's a quiet confidence, honestly. Just talking about considering everything that he's gone through, right? The ACL injury, MCL injury, PCL injury, the list goes on. And he's just continued to battle through it, right? Had some early success with the Cowboys, but it's really just like his intelligence, right? That's something that Brian Schottenheimer's attested to, his ability to do everything. But yeah, I mean, his confidence is growing. He's not really a stat guy. He told me, I'm not really necessarily worried about, the accomplishments. I'm just worried about trying to have success for this team.
Well, maybe he should be a stat guy because it's working out in his favor at this point in time. Isaiah, I know you're not a stat guy.
Nope.
You watch the film.
I do.
And I like this question that's posed by our producers in the back, but what is his superpower? What do you think Javvante Williams, if he was given the chance to be a superhero, what would it be?
Well, back when you watched Marvel, you remember Magneto?
Yeah.
Magneto had this guy named the Juggernaut. And the Juggernaut would put his helmet on. And once that put his helmet on, and he leaned forward and he started moving those feet, nobody was going to stop him. That is Mr. Williams right now. His super head is his superpower. He's able to run through anybody right now. If you get in his way, he's going to fall for 4 yards. That is what he's doing very well right now. He's getting behind his shoulder pads, getting behind his offensive lineman, and these guys are moving the chains.
Barry, would you like to follow that up?
I agree wholeheartedly with the Juggernaut. Once you get that momentum going, you can just go downhill and pretty much run through everyone. And I love what he's doing. I mean, once he gets behind those shoulder pads, whether it's short yardage situation, whether it's 1st and 10, he's dragging guys. You don't see him, going backwards or falling to the side. He's always falling forward, getting those leaky yardages. So, without a doubt, what would you call it? His superpower. His super head and his super juggernaut ability.
That's
whatever
right.
the case may
That's
be,
right.
I'm with you on that one.
There we go.
Hey.
So what they're trying to say is his impact at contact. He's the type of guy, he craves a little bit of contact. So when right before he runs into a guy, it seems like he has a little bit of extra oomph. He's got explosion in his legs. So that is what makes him the juggernaut that these young men
Thank
are
you for
talking
being
about.
the professional that you are, Nate. Thank you for being the professional.
I'm going to go Thor, right? In Avengers, right? He's got
strength.
the rings, the 5 rings, so he's got super strength. He has the physicality. He's got the explosiveness. He can also help in the passing game in terms of protection, a blitz pickup, right? 4th quarter, the Giants sent up a blitz up the middle, and of course, Jake Ferguson, there was an incompletion there. But, I mean, there's a couple of plays where you can kind of attest to those throws don't happen without a Javvante Williams helping. So I'm going to go Thor because he's got the ability to do a little bit of everything.
Did you say 5 rings?
Yeah, like in Avengers, right?
Is
that the right one?
Infinity Stone.
That's the
Hey,
Infinity
it all
Stone,
sounds the same.
There's 6 of them.
Six? My bad. Hey, you got the point, though. You got the point.
She knows ball. That's all that matters. It's okay. She can talk football. We're good.
I thought it was time.
He sticks with the football.
My bad.
Javvante Williams, not the only weapon on this Cowboys offense. A couple other guys that have had an impact already. CeeDee Lamb, back-to-back games with 100-yard receiving yards in those games. And then George Pickens able to make some noise on the vertical routes. A couple pass interference calls last week. The stats aren't going to look the same quite yet for George Pickens, but Isaiah, when you look at the way that they're utilizing both of these weapons in the offense, are you satisfied to this point?
Satisfied? I'm never satisfied, Kyle, but I can tell you what, if George Pickens were to have received those pass interference calls, his stats would tower over a CeeDee Lamb stat so far this year. Absolutely. So if you factor in the yardage that the Dallas Cowboys have gained from the George Pickens pass interference calls plus the reception yards that he has, he has almost twice as many yards as CeeDee Lamb. So I'm not satisfied, but I like the direction that it's going. It's a slow build. The one person that we're not showing on that screen was Jake Ferguson. And once Jake Ferguson starts getting some of these completions, some of these balls that have actually been underthrown to him to date, that's when you'll start seeing all these guys start winning. But right now, it's okay. It's a good start. I think there's a long way to go.
Yeah, for me, these guys just got to continue to build off of each other when you look at it. I mean, you saw it last week. Once, George Pickens started getting those pass interferences or he started getting those catches right there, you saw CeeDee Lamb say, hold on now, let me get some over here. And he started making his explosive plays. So to me, for the key to get these guys to keep rolling consistently week in and week out, you just got to continue to feed these guys targets. I'm saying double digits for both of these guys. I understand Ferg, is your seam guy, your kind of security blanket out there. But if you want big time plays and you want to stress the defense out, you got to continue to feed your dogs on the outside.
Roof. Bruh,
Let it out.
if it's 100 passes, throw 75 to between these two guys.
All right.
And the other 25, I don't care whether to go to Ferg, Turpin, I don't care. But if it's 100 passes, make sure between these guys, they get 75 of them. That's just how big this thing can be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I like the way that they're utilizing both of these guys. It's a nice little balance, but we don't talk much about how much those PI calls are flipping the field for this offense. I mean, when you look at the first one against the Giants, 2nd and 9, Dallas trailing 13-10, and the next play after you get that PI call, Javvante Williams goes 30 yards untouched for a touchdown. Yeah. Later in that quarter as well, I mean, you get a field goal by Brandon Aubrey, of course, tying the game. So both of those guys are currently setting the tone for this offense, and it's obviously helping.
Well, and also not to mention the guy throwing them the football too. Dak Prescott has played an exceptionally high brand of football to start the career, to start the season. Nate, when it comes to those two guys, how important is Dak in that equation?
He's everything. Yeah. He's the maestro, man. He's the puppet master. This guy. The first week, his pocket presence, how he moved around and made sure CeeDee Lamb got the ball, Jake Ferguson got the ball, even though we didn't get his picking as much. See, bro, I tell you what, man, this is going to be a super year for Dak. MVP, baby, let's rock.
Yeah, this is going to be an outstanding year, and you already saw how fast he is, starting so far with these first two games. When it comes to me and Dak Prescott and these guys on the outside, he understands how to disperse the ball to both of them and where to put the ball placement. And we've seen that in both of these games, whether it was the Philadelphia game and then the New York Giants game. But I also like how Shotty's calling these games for Dak Prescott out there. I mean, the balance they have between feeding Javvante Williams, to using the play action, to using that strength of Dak Prescott to be able to be that maestro to get this offense rolling in the right direction. Right now, it's all kicking in cylinders, but you got to be consistent, and hopefully we're able to see some more of that in Chicago this afternoon.
The one thing about Dak is he doesn't show favoritism. It doesn't matter that he's had CeeDee Lamb all these years, and CeeDee Lamb has just ascended every single year, and now you add George Pickens into this environment. He doesn't play, okay, I've got to go to CeeDee on this particular play. He's playing it even Steven. So as a defense, you can't shift one way or another. You're gonna pay. You're gonna pay a steep price. So I like the fact how Shotty's calling this thing. Either one of those guys can hurt you at any given time. And again, I'm gonna keep saying his name today. Look for Jay Ferguson, because I think he can be the guy who really changes things up and changes this dynamic, especially if they're playing two high safeties.
Yeah, Dak's underrated. I mean, you look at the stats, just first in completions, first in tight window throws, top 3 and versus pressure and things like that. I mean, Shotty even talked about it. He's seeing the field. His footwork has improved so much. Dak's playing at a very, very high level right now.
And it's going to help more and more as they continue to get on the same page. They continue to get more comfortable with each other, and as the season goes on as well. You talked about those pass interference penalties. Pickens talked about it this week. Is there an art to attaining those pass interference calls? Plus, CD talked earlier in the week about having the start that they've had on the offensive side.
It's not really an art. I feel like when you're more calm, because that's kind of what I am. When I'm more calm, when the ball is coming, they're panicking. It makes it kind of look like, you see what I mean, that that's kind of overturned. But I guess that's the key, to stay calm.
It was fun. Great time for us to start clicking on all cylinders. I feel like Shotty did a great job of trusting in our ability and using us to our full advantage. Obviously, we lost Hurt, so that was tough, and it had no choice but for us to step up, and that we did. Somebody open at least one time. If I'm not getting doubled, I'm sure I am. If GP got one-on-one, I'm sure he is. If Turp got one-on-one, I'm sure he is. If Ferg got one-on-one, I'm sure he is. So it's fun to be on the offense like that, and I feel like for us, we just got to keep building. I mean, again, it's only been 2 weeks into the season. I don't want to toot our own horn too early, but we just got to keep working, keep doing what we do. And we knew that going into the season that we were going to have a good start to the season. We just got to, keep our head down, keep the main thing the main thing.
keep the main thing the main thing. CeeDee Lamb trying to keep it straight going into week 3 against the Chicago Bears. Back alongside Barry Church, Nate Newton, and Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. This is something new we've tried this year. I really like this segment. We've got a trivia question that is giving you the trivia question here and then the answer toward the end of the show. So stick around. You'll hear the answer to this trivia question in week 3.
Today's trivia question is, what is the coldest regular season game in Cowboys history?
Just running every route hard, you know what I mean? Just trying to stay open for Dak. The ball gonna come, whether it's Bird, C, JT, Turk, me. So just keep running the routes.
Yeah, I got a Nickelodeon MVP today. Yeah. Yes, sir. Got this little MVP trophy, which is cool. It's just another one of those things you can put in the bank and hang at the house and show off to friends when they come over.
There's probably another trophy for a while. Just talk about your preparedness. Cowboys had you taking snaps in training camp for such a situation.
Yeah, no, obviously feel for BB getting hurt, but yeah, no, we've definitely prepared. Everybody. It sucks. It's just the game of football, right? There's injuries that happen all the time. Obviously, like last year with Zach, me stepping in for him. So when you're in that kind of backup role, swing role, it's just coming in, do your job each and every day, be ready to play multiple positions, and do whatever it takes to help this team win.
Some of the great moments throughout the week on our media mashup. A great look at the Chicago skyline. Here are your inactives for the Cowboys in week 3, and one of the biggest names on that list, Jadeveon Clowney, the former #1 overall pick, added earlier this week by the Cowboys front office to try and revamp that pass rush. Unavailable today due to the inactive list. However, it will be something to look forward to in the future. So no Clowney right now. Keep him in mind going into week 4. Jaden Blue is active. Deron Bland is out. And Shamar James is out. But one guy that is not on that list but was on the list earlier was Mazi Smith. Mazi Smith making his debut here in the 2025 season. Is that significant?
First 2 games, your first-round pick from a handful of years ago was inactive, and all of a sudden, he's active. Looking forward to seeing what he's going to do.
Something to keep in mind going into this matchup. The Cowboys aren't the only ones with some inactives as well. The Bears have plenty of injuries. You looked up and down their injury list all the way through. It was hamstring. Here are the guys that they are without. Jalen Johnson was already deemed out today, so no cornerback. Their top cornerback, really top 2 corners out because Kyler Gordon also out, a UW guy to keep an eye on. I know you'll miss watching him play. Then TJ Edwards, one of the linebackers on that Bears defense as well. DeMarco Johnson, another linebacker. So they're banged up just like the Cowboys are on that defensive side. But their offense looks to get rolling with Ben Johnson, who, of course, was the Lions offensive coordinator in 2024. He is now the Bears head coach in 2025. He has the skins on the wall as a play caller, but he hasn't had the success as a head coach. Isaiah, what do you think is the big thing topic-wise? Actually, I'll start with you, Barry.
Okay.
What's the big thing topic-wise you're looking on to try and move Ben Johnson in the right direction, or for the Cowboys to try and slow it down?
Well, we all saw, the debacle as far as the secondary is concerned last week against the New York Giants. So for me, it's how do we limit DJ Moore and your brethren from UW, Rome Odunze? How do we limit those guys? Because these are 2 explosive wide receivers on the outside, and then you also have a guy in Caleb Williams who he's a beast when it comes to backyard football, buying time for his wide receivers to go out there and make plays. So for me, you got to make sure you keep everything in front of you. You do not want to give the Chicago Bears offense any confidence as far as explosive plays is concerned, and you got to keep Caleb Williams in the pocket. Force him to beat you from within the pocket. It will give you a better chance to win this ball game, but you've got to make sure you limit those 2 receivers on the outside because they are beasts.
And we talked about that dual-headed attack, of course, last week. Did not go well for the safeties for the Cowboys and how they were able to maneuver with Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors. Different challenge this week, but how do you slow it down?
Yeah, well, you guys are starting to talk about the safeties. Please, let's go back to 2 safeties like we had week 1 versus Philadelphia Eagles. Last week, we changed things up. We were wondering early on, hey, how are we going to approach this defense? Is Eberflus going to stick what he did with week 1 versus the Eagles and play 2 high and try to keep everything in front of you? Well, we saw in week 2, he tried to play single high, had Donovan Wilson kind of out of place, and all of a sudden, sudden big plays started to happen. So what I'm looking forward to seeing is going back to what we saw week 1, 2 safeties up top, Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, let your 3 linebackers underneath roam and keep everything in front of you. Williams is not experienced enough and he's not patient enough yet. He's going to give you an opportunity. You might have to give up some plays here and there where he's moving the chains, but eventually he's going to make the big-time mistake.
That sounds like something we need to break down on the film room maybe a little bit later on in the show. That's going to put a lot of pressure on Barry, though.
It's all good.
You ready to break that down later
Pressure
on?
makes diamonds. All right? We good.
I like it. Nate, what are you keeping your eye on in this matchup?
What I think is we're going to have to be disciplined on defense. Like you say, Barry's going to talk about it. We've stopped the run. Now all we have to do is put a little bit more pressure, stay in our lanes versus the pass, and and line up correctly for us, your safeties and corners. And if we do that right there, it's just all about being disciplined.
So when you look at all of the different names that are in or out, Trayvon Diggs was not on the inactive list. That's a big win for the Cowboys in the secondary. He's one of the veterans, Nate. When you look at the communication back and forth, how big is having him available, even if it's for a short amount of time?
It's great. I mean, you'd like to throw bodies. You'd like to have a lot of bodies. And corners and defensive ends on defense is what you want a lot of. But what we need is for our better guys like Diggs, and we can get Bland back in another month. Yeah. We need those guys. Now the coach can be a little bit more creative. He has to stay very vanilla now when he's working with young guys and inexperienced guys.
Yeah, you want your experienced cornerbacks to be out there because even if you have a lapse in communication out there, those are the guys that can read the formation and say, you know what, I know what I'm doing in this specific situation. Those least experienced guys, those kind of rookie corners out there, they may need that communication. And when they don't hear it or they don't see it, they start to panicking. But when you got Trayvon Diggs, a guy like that, he should be able to decipher, hey, all right, even though I didn't get the communication, I understand what this formation for the offense is putting out there, and I know my responsibilities, so it's good to have him in the lineup.
It's good to have him in the lineup, but the reality is even if he is in the lineup, you still have a bunch of young, inexperienced guys playing in the secondary. And the best way that you can alleviate the stress and pressure that those guys are going to have going into this game, especially against a team that has as many weapons as Chicago is, play off. Play off, keep everything in front of you. Again, you're going to give on some stuff underneath, but guess what? It's underneath. The one thing that these young guys for the Dallas Cowboys secondary can do is they can come up and hit. They're physical. Eberflus is not going to allow you to be a secondary player on this team unless you could come up and hit. Let those guys keep everything in front of you, put your foot in the ground, come downhill, put a hat on the ball, and just force some turnovers.
There was another guy that I have to at least shine a spotlight on when it comes to the weapons for the Chicago Bears. He's right there. That's his name. DeAndre Swift. We haven't even talked about the run game quite yet and how much that could play a factor. Remember, in Detroit, Ben Johnson, what did he have with the Lions? He had a stout run game with David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, and that helped set up the rest of the weapons. How big is the run game going to be? He was questionable, DeAndre Swift was, going into this matchup. How big of a role can he play in week 3?
Huge. I mean, he's one of those guys that is just, you have to circle him. Most teams have a dual-headed monster at running back. They only need one because Swift is just that dominant. But not only that, is when they get the running game going, they have a two-headed monster at tight end as well. So if they can get those guys working the run game, then all of a sudden your safety gets a little bit nosy. Donovan Wilson gets closer to the line of scrimmage, and then he has to be concerned about not only coming up and playing the run, but crap, I got to turn and go and cover these tight ends now, like I know BC knows a little bit about.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, when you got a running back like Swift that can make guys miss in the hole and can also be a threat out of the backfield as a receiver, I mean, it makes you as a defense, question a little bit. But to me, I'm not too worried about it because you got some studs on the inside. You got Kenny Clark and you got Osa Odigizua as well. Those guys have been playing great against the run. Now, on the outside, we got to make sure we keep the edge because this is a running back that loves to bounce it outside and use his speed to capture that edge and make guys miss in the open field. So as long as we get that run situated between that defensive line, keep them guys boxed in, I think they'll be okay against the Chicago Bears.
I truly believe what he's saying because this coach here, Ben Johnson, he got the 5-10 quarter-like system. What I mean by that, he'll take 5 yards here, he'll set you up, bring you up, then he'll hit you 10 right behind the linebackers, and the next thing you know, he's going over the top with his receivers. So if you stay disciplined and think down distance, situation, play to the situation, you should be okay.
And just like all the different talk throughout the week, and I really liked what the Cowboys locker room had to say. We're talking about these weapons. We're talking about the Bears that are all on this back wall. it's all about themselves. Even starting center Brock Hoffman talking about it is about what we do best. Now, both teams have a quarterback that one is playing well, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. The other one is Caleb Williams, who's had some ups and some downs, still trying to find his footing in year number 2 in the NFL, but a former number 1 overall draft pick out of USC, somebody to keep an eye on. He is exceptionally mobile, and you talked about that earlier, Isaiah. That mobility is going to challenge this Cowboys defense. And then Dak Prescott, look at the passing chart. That's about as good looking of a passing chart as you'll get from NFL Next Gen Stats to start the season. He's been fantastic.
Yeah, Dak's been fantastic, but you better not sleep on Caleb Williams either. I know people are looking at him statistically and it's like, oh, he's not doing as great. Well, you look at his QB rating and you look at his pass completion and you look at his touchdown to interception ratio, it's about even with Dak Prescott right now. So you can talk about Dak as much as you want to, but they're just not asking as much from him as you ask or that you are of Dak.
And that's exactly what the front office expects when they paid him the contract. They gave him the contract extension that they mentioned overall. Let's go back out to Chicago and hear from one of the members of that Cowboys front office. Stephen Jones is with our very own Tommy Arish.
All right, we're back here at Soldier Field in Chicago with Cowboys COO and co-owner Stephen Jones. Stephen, thanks for making some time. We'll start with this. Trayvon Diggs added to the injury report on Saturday with a knee injury. He's active today. What kind of went into that process? What did you see in the 25-minute warm-up that gave him the green light?
Well, the biggest thing is obviously he had a little flare-up there on Saturday and felt like he was good to go through Friday. And he got out here and just said, hey, I can do this. And certainly we need him. And I think he's ready to roll and compete and help us win a football game.
And the flare-up isn't considered to be anything significant going forward.
No, it had nothing to do with his old injury. It's a different knee. But it's just, all these guys get things. And that's part of being a professional athlete. But he's ready to go compete.
And then we'll stay with another one of your newer players, Jadeveon Clowney, inactive today. But what was the week like with him? He came earlier, and I know there's a ramp-up process. He didn't participate in any training camp, so is he just still needing to ramp up? What was in the decision there?
That was it. If he played, it was going to be a limited amount of snaps, and just felt like it was probably in his best interest to, have another week of practicing and ramping up to play. And certainly it was tempting to put a guy like him out there, but at the same time, this is a long season.
And Brian Schottenheimer said earlier in the week that last week's performance defensively was not up to the standard. How have you seen that group respond this week in practice with their secondary, especially coming here to Chicago and Matt Eberflus' homecoming?
Well, I just think, at the end of the day, Flus is one of the best in the business in terms of getting defenses ready to play. And certainly it was disappointing the way we played defense, in the Giants game. But, there were some things that were self-inflicted. And I think we get that out. And I'm convinced we're going to play winning-type defense as the season goes. Oh.
Almost took us out there.
We were getting hit.
We were playing winning-type defense there.
There we go. I've been hit before. It doesn't feel good. But anyway, I do think we'll respond well. I think he's got the guys coached up well. We practice hard week in and week out. And we just got to keep putting them together. And I think we'll continue to improve as a football team.
One group that has started really strong for you has been the offense. Chicago's got some corners banged up. How much of an opportunity is this for Dak, CD, and George to continue their strong start to the season?
Well, all these guys get paid. I think the biggest thing is we got to take care of what we can control. And certainly Dak's been doing that with the offensive side of the ball. We want to run the football, which we've been doing a good job with our backfield. And then I think Dak can capitalize on the plays that are out there, whether it's CD, whether it's Pickens, whether it's Turpin or JT. We've got a great group of receivers. And then, of course, Ferguson steps up and makes some great plays as well. So we got to control what we can control and make the plays that are given to us.
All right, last one for you. I know consistency has kind of been the word that was around Mozzie Smith going into the first couple of weeks. He was inactive today. He's active. What consistency did you see from him to give him the green light today?
Well, I think it's just practices that he's put together. And I think a lot of times, coaches and especially Coach Schottenheimer use that to get guys to get focused. And certainly he's done that the last 3 weeks of practice and deserved to be up this week. And I think he's going to go out and play really well.
All right, thank you very much for the time. Stephen Jones, Cowboys co-owner and COO.
Despite all of the moves made by the front office this offseason, the Cowboys having to deal with a lack of cornerback depth. Yes, they traded for Kaiir Elam. They added Deron Bland with a re-signing this offseason, but he's out today. Even a questionable Trayvon Diggs in the secondary that gave up 450 yards passing to Russell Wilson in week 2 is going to be tested again against the Bears today. Back alongside Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. Of course, we've got our resident defensive back, Barry Church, is going to break down some of the communication issues that you saw in that week 2 matchup.
Yeah, first of all, when you look at this matchup, it was mostly zone, but that the Cowboys are playing from week 1 to week 2. And in this particular instance right here, this team is in a cover 4. All right, now it's a big time communication error, but for those who don't know what cover 4 is, let me go ahead and put it out there for you. This corner is responsible for that fourth of the field. This guy right here is responsible for that fourth, this safety, this fourth, and this corner on this fourth right here. Now, when talking to Eberflus earlier this week, they put a little wrinkle on this cover 4 scheme right here. Now, when it's 3-by-1, and we're looking at these 3 down here, 1, 2, 3, that third option right there is responsible for this guy right here, Donovan Wilson. All right, this is the call he's going to make over to his corner, Trayvon Diggs, the communication part that they have to make sure they got. It's called poach, poach, poach. Now, what that means is that Donovan Wilson is responsible for 3 going vertical. Whether he's vertical, breaks it in, goes on a post or a deep over, whatever the case may be, he's responsible for that number 3 over. But the communication is you've got to let this guy know right here, your cornerback Trayvon Diggs, that I am going to be gone, and the only way I'm going to be able to help you out is if it's going to be extremely late. If this guy right here blocks, does something shallow, or does something underneath his linebackers. That's the only way I'll be able to help out in that deep fourth for Trayvon Diggs. Now, in that being said, if Diggs gets that poach, poach, poach call, he has the ability to play off and slightly inside because he knows he does not have help from that deep safety over there, and he needs to play like he has no help at all. So he can give up the shallow, the slant, the deep comeback, but he has to make sure he plays everything from top down because he does not have any deep help. Let's go to the next slide. As we see here, Donovan Wilson's, there's the vision cone right there. Donovan Wilson's vision is on that number 3. Now, the number 3 right here that we're talking about is this tight end right here. He sits down in that zone. Now, that kind of frees up Donovan Wilson to maybe get a little bit more depth in his situation to help out Trayvon Diggs, but he's not necessarily supposed to be out there and make sure he has that fourth because he's supposed to let his corner, Mr. Trayvon Diggs here, understand that he's not going to be there when the late or for the late part of the zone. He's going to have to be able to play that by himself. But as you see right here, the communication between Diggs and Wilson was not on the same page because Diggs is playing this as though he thinks he has Donovan Wilson in that fourth area right there. And Isaiah, there's an old saying, if you're even with these wide receivers, what's going to happen?
I'm leaving.
Exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen. And we see Neighbors, one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League, hit him with a skinny post. And let's go to the next clip, please. As you see right here, Trayvon Diggs does not get depth. He doesn't play on top of that wide receiver. You see Donovan Wilson right here in that low part of the zone. He should have been playing on top. The communication was a big-time error right there between those two. And that's all correctable. That's all coachable. But you've got to get that communication between your safety and your corner, and everybody has to be playing on the same page.
And when you see as a quarterback, Isaiah, the little bit of communication there, just a little miscommunication between Trayvon Diggs, or really from Donovan Wilson to Trayvon Diggs, what does it trigger in your mind?
Well, right off the bat, I'm trying to look at leverage. Yeah. I'm looking at leverage. I'm looking at those 3-by-1 sets where my guys have the advantage. If I understand by the film that guy is going to be compromised in terms of his responsibilities, then all of a sudden I dictate my concepts and my routes based upon what I understand about their defense and their responsibilities, and I expose it.
So that's cover 4. Yeah, what about cover 2?
Well, this right here is cover 3.
They played a lot of that.
Yeah, they did play cover 2, but this right here is cover 3. One of the most basic coverages that you see back in middle school, high school, college, whatever case may be. Secondary-wise, this corner has this deep third. You got your middle of the field safety, Donovan Wilson, once again. He's responsible for what we call red line to red line. Now, the red line is 6 yards from the sideline. If you're a good safety in the middle of the field, you should be able to get to that red line. And then we also have Diggs on this side, and he's responsible for his deep third as well. Now, this is more of an alignment issue, all right, because there's really no communication. Everybody knows what they're playing. Deep third, you got your underneath defenders as well. But right here, we have Donovan Wilson in the middle of the football field. Now, I understand he's your middle of the field safety. You think he should be right in the middle, but not when you have your passing options or the strength of the offense all on one side. You got 1, 2, 3 receivers on that side, and you got one guy back here, which you guys have that, cornerback here, plus the dropping linebackers in there that can handle that. I would love to have seen Donovan Wilson pre-snap be a little bit more on this hash. Get closer to your alignment or get closer to your assignment, because, Isaiah, what is the weakness of a cover 3 when you're sitting under that quarterback, under that center?
Well, you just talked about the 3 guys over here, 1, 2, 3. If there's only one guy that's responsible for right here, there's only one guy responsible for right there, then all of a sudden the weak spot tends to be right in this area right here, and this little block right here is where I'm going to try to expose you.
Exactly. The seams are under attack in cover 3, and that's why your alignment has to be closer to your responsibilities. I understand you don't want to leave your cornerback out there to dry, so you want to have a little bit of a disguise to show the quarterback that he's not by himself back there. But when the snap of the ball happens, you have to get on your responsibility, which is that high hash, because as we said, as Isaiah just said, the seams are under attack, and you have to get depth, and you have to be able to handle your responsibilities. Let's go to the next clip. As you see right here, the vision of Dono is on the quarterback, which isn't bad. He's scanning from his wide receiver option to the quarterback, so that's not bad. But what I would love to see is Dono get just a little bit more depth right there. He's almost already even with this wide receiver, and Isaiah already said in the last clip, if they're even, they're leaving, all right? So you have to get more depth. I understand you want to visualize your quarterback right there. You see Javvante Diggs saying he has a threat in that wheel route right there, but he also sees he has a threat in the seam as well. So I would love to see both of these guys get at least 5 to 10 yards deeper. That way, when they're breaking downhill on the football, not chasing the football, as we see on this next clip. Let's let it ride. Oh, boom. And as we see, there was not enough depth from either of these guys. You got this angle from your middle of the field safety breaking upfield. You got your corner, which is supposed to be deep third, breaking uphill. You do not want to see those breaks happen like that. And they gave the ability for Russell Wilson to throw one of his great moon balls over the top and put it right in the bucket. You do not want to have that as your assignment that's critical for cover 3. Make sure you're deep as the deepest, all right? Because when you get these quarterbacks in this league, they're way too good. They're able to find the slightest of windows. And if you give a guy like Russell Wilson that ability, that equals 6 each and every day. You got to get depth. You got to get communication between your offense or between your secondary, and hopefully those things are rectified this week against Chicago.
You never got beat over the top like that, ever,
never,
right?
never. I don't even short-term memory. That thing's going. I don't know what you're talking about.
Out of the back, it doesn't ever happen in the secondary. Things happen all the way through. Nate, do you have any notes for Barry at this point?
Look right down here. There's no one near the quarterback, okay? None of this happens without great protection. Thank you.
That's true.
I had to get something to know.
That is true.
That's the best part about it. Let's talk to Coach Eberflus, who mentioned some of those struggles to the media this week and how the Cowboys are going to rectify it here in week 3.
Yeah, when you become a head coach, it's a different job, right? So you learn a lot of things, so a lot of things that you didn't do as an assistant, as a coordinator. But again, I'll just say that the experiences there is certainly, I cherish all those. There's always hard moments, in coaching. You always are disappointed when you lose, and because you put so much into it. The players put so much into it, and you're most disappointed for the players. And and then once that settles in and you work to the next day, the sun comes up and you move forward. You learn, you grow, and you keep going. And that's what true grit is, right? And that's what we're all about.
I really do love the mindset that Coach Eberflus has had through this entire return to Chicago. It was not an easy ending in the Windy City for Eberflus, and was a head coach there from 22 to 24. Now he's kind of said, let's not get too amped up about this. But what do you expect out of the Dallas defense today as he goes up against his former quarterback, who he drafted last year, and his former team in week 3?
First of all, I'm going to throw a flag on the play.
Oh.
Uh-oh. I think Eberflus.
That's not yellow.
Yeah, I know. It's going to have to be what it is today. I think Eberflus is out there being very PC. Right? He's trying to keep it as calm as he possibly can right now. Appreciate you, BC, picking me up. Listen, he wants payback. He's a competitor.
Yeah.
Okay, football players are competitive. Football coaches are probably even more competitive. He wants to show off exactly what his specialty is and what got him the head coaching job in Chicago, and that is how dominant his defense is. Also on top of that, that's one chip on one shoulder. On the other shoulder, his team is ranked at the bottom of the league statistically right now in terms of defense. That hits him in his chest. He doesn't like the way that feels. He doesn't like the way that he's going back to his old crib, his old stomping grounds where he had the keys to the city. Now he's locked out and he's at the bottom of the league statistically. He has two chips on his shoulder. He wants some payback. Forget the PC stuff. Go get him.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you understand that, Flus going back to Chicago, he wants to show that organization over there that they might have made a mistake. All right, you might have made a mistake out there. And what he's going to do with his defense is they're going to have a better display than they did last week against the New York Giants. And I believe that's going to happen. I mean, they're going to keep everything in front of them, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see some more zone blitzes or fire zones where they blitz guys off the edge, they blitz the corner, and they put a zone in behind them. But overall, this defense is going to be ready to roll. Flus has had them in the meeting room saying, hey, we cannot let Caleb Williams go out there and play backyard football against us, buying time for Roma Dunze or DJ Moore out there to exploit us. We've got to get after this quarterback and make sure he has happy feet back there, and I believe this Flus defense will do just that.
If you're playing defensive coordinator and you were the head coach of Caleb Williams, you know his weaknesses,
Strengths
right?
and weaknesses, without a doubt.
You should know all of them.
I'm listen to them.
The bottom line is this: we've all been released, cut, traded, whatever. And every time we went back to that old team, we had a little something. And you always looked at, if they do this, I got this.
Let them know.
Shine.
Let them know.
Eberflus going to have that moment.
I love it.
He's going to have that moment.
Yeah.
Because I thought I would be on an island going into this thinking that there's going to be a little zesty from the play calling from Coach Eberflus, getting a little creative. I think it could be really interesting when it came to Flus. But you guys are saying the same thing I am.
Listen.
There's animosity there. There's a little extra juice that you're going to see from Coach Eberflus. And I like that. I think we need to see that from Coach Eberflus. It's the right mindset.
Absolutely.
Right
Go
mindset.
get him, Coach.
Here's a look at what's happening out at Soldier Field. Patrick No-See Walkers, the Cowboys run on the field. How about this conversation? You look out there, that's Brandon Aubrey, and Aubrey getting warmed up. Look who he had a chat with.
Oh, get out his head.
That's a couple of goats right there. Goat on the left and a goat on the right. And that's there's Kevin Burkhardt in there. I'd call him a goat, too. He's a pretty good announcer.
Burke's pretty doggone
Yeah. Mike Leslie from WFAA getting the tunnel shot as Dak Prescott hyping the guys up. There's Brock Hoffman to the left. There's Brock Hoffman again. As the Cowboys get ready for their matchup with the Bears. Let's hear from what the Cowboys had to say throughout the week.
It's cool. Obviously, I grew up there. I know a lot of the guys on that team, but very similar to, I think, Coach Flus, and then again myself. It's like every other game, and going in there to get a win.
Man, I'm like I said, I got injured last game, so I'm gonna keep it the same. I ain't never been injured, so I'm gonna go out there and play the way I play. So whatever happens, and they gotta take my whole show, and I'm a sucker for me not to play. So I'm gonna go out there and just try to be me.
I played okay, definitely a lot of room for improvement, but the most encouraging thing about this past weekend is that I saw myself get better at some things that I struggled with the game before, and as long as I'm getting better week by week, I can't be mad at myself because I know I'm giving my all on and off the field to put out a great product for my teammates and this fan base. So as long as I'm getting better, that's the main focus, getting better every single week.
Today's trivia question is, what is the coldest regular season game in Cowboys history? The answer to today's trivia question is 8 degrees on December 9th, 2013 in Chicago.
In this matchup.
Oh,
Look at the arms.
You see the arms, though. You do see the arms.
I see the snot, boy. Look at this.
You see the snot. It was icicling up there, too. And Kyle, going back to that game, that was probably the only game in the history of my life where I questioned if football was for me. When I was out there, I tried to be tough with the
I saw the hand warmer, though.
Man, that was one of the games where I was like, you know what? keep me on the bench. You know, this right here is not for me. We lost the game, and since we lost, the showers was cold. I mean, it was a debacle all around.
Man, here's the thing.
Take a shower
Isaiah's over here laughing. Look at that photo from Isaiah. See, but this was Barry was no sleeves in Chicago in 8-degree weather. That was 43 degrees before kickoff. And Isaiah's bundled up, getting ready for the matchup.
Stay warm. You understand me? Yeah.
And while you guys were in the cold, Nate's out in Hawaii.
Look at the chain
for the Pro Bowl. How about the Nate Newton Pro Bowl?
Is that the MJ?
Throwback.
I was asking my boy where the honey bun was.
I love it. A little throwback action. I mean, hey, I thought you were from up north.
Listen. I played in some cold weather too, and they see Moss and those guys used to try to get on me in New England about wearing sleeves. I'm wearing the sleeves. Believe that.
Smart
I'm all that.
Comfortable. You know, she was wearing sleeves playing tennis for Howard too.
Yeah.
Hey, we played indoors when it was cold.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to play with sleeves.
Gotta. That's
Howard.
the facilities arms race out there at Howard and the Bison. All right, here's a look at the Cowboys' offensive depth chart. Of course, Cooper Beebe out today, and you got the opportunity to see Brock Hoffman at the center position. Here's what Brock had to say, or actually, excuse me, what Schottenheimer had to say about Brock Hoffman filling in that role.
Very pleased that we got a guy like Brock Hoffman that can step in, and Brock ended up playing some important minutes, into overtime and against a damn good front. I thought Brock did really, really well, and so Beebs will do whatever he can to get back, but it looks like it's going to be that 6 to 8 week period.
Last year when Hoffman went in, everybody talked about his mindset or play style, I guess. What can that bring to your group up front?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Todd. I mean, Brock does that even without playing. I mean, at practice, he does it. On game day from the sideline, he does it. So when he's out there, it's just maybe more noticeable for everybody else. But the intensity the guy plays with, the trash that he talks is kind of fun and cool. He gets underneath the defenders, gets in their heads a little bit. But yeah, his play style is just he's wired the right way, man. And our guys love it. But he's definitely one of the leaders in that room. The guys respect him. He's the first guy out there. He's the last guy to leave. He helps orchestrate a lot of the post-practice stuff that we do. And it's just great to have a guy like that when something like this happens that you can look to.
Lots of trust in Brock Hoffman. We spoke on that a little bit earlier in the show, but when you look at his mentality and his experience, how much does that continue the tradition or continue at least some level of confidence at the center position?
It's everything. What Coach Schottenheimer's talking about, what Isaiah and Barry's talked about, just through the whole show. This guy's a baller. He can play. Now, he ain't as athletically as gifted as everybody, but he knows the offense. He knows where the protections are coming from, run and pass. This guy, one thing he does better than anybody, even our left guard, our all-pro left guard, is he finishes. He irritates. He's an agitator. And when you got a guy like that, that wakes up our left guard to be the guy that he is in our new first-round pick in Booker. Hey, man, you said early, man, that's the arrow to that spirit, man.
Yeah, I like everything about it. I mean, obviously you wish you had Cooper Beebe in there. He's your starter. But if you had to have a second guy come in and fulfill that role, you want Brock Hoffman. Somebody who's trusted, somebody who's been in the system. He's experienced. He has the reps underneath his belt. The game's not going to be too big for him. And, again, he's next to two other maulers. You talk about getting the run game going and Mr. Williams in the backfield having success so far this season. You have three dudes in the middle now that can move mountains. And not only that, they all have a little attitude to them. So these guys can get after it, man, and I'm looking forward to seeing that O-line beast out.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on this one. I'm not too, down on Hoffman being in there. I believe, it might be a slight drop-off, but nothing too crazy when you're talking about performance out there. Because Hoffman, like you guys said, he's one of those bulldogs in the trenches. He's a guy that you love to have in the foxhole with you. He's great when it comes to moving bodies out there, and he can protect the quarterback as well. And he's experienced playing the center position. So he's going to know the calls. He's going to know where the blitzes are coming from, left and right. And I don't see any drop-off happening with Hoffman being at the center this afternoon.
I mean, when you hear your offensive coordinator and Clayton Adams saying that he practices every single day like he's going to be playing in the game, I mean, that gives me a lot of confidence. But this is a guy who, of course, played center when Cooper Beebe went out with a concussion last year, had some success there. Actually, the run game was elevated that following week. Also at right guard, when Zach Martin was out, 7 games, he only had 1 penalty. and one of the highest pass blocking and run blocking grades during that time frame in the NFL. So you talk about that, I mean, that gives me a lot of confidence alone.
I got to ask my fellow DCBC over
What's happening?
You're known as being a hard hitter.
Oh, yeah. That's
right?
fact.
Somebody who loves when coach calls the blitz. But if you know that Brock Hoffman is in the middle and you have a strong safety blitz coming right through the A-gap, what is now your mentality when you have to go against this guy?
And I know it's Hoffman.
You know it's Hoffman.
Oh, I'm buckling the chin strap because I understand it's going to be a dogfight in there. I know if I go in there, I better have some moves on me because if I go in there just thinking I'm going to bull rush this man, I'm going to get put in the dirt. All right, he got me by a lot of pounds. So whoever's coming after Hoffman in this game, get your popcorn ready, get your chin straps ready because it's going to be a dogfight.
And from the 2-snap to the 4-snap.
Whole snap.
And got them all.
Shoulder pads, everything.
And hey, not to mention, you got one NFC North foe this week. You got another one coming up next week.
Let's not talk
the
about
guy
that.
with the number one. Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
We'll
We'll talk about it next week. We'll do it here on Pregame Live. All right, bold predictions are back. I want you guys to just give me the bold prediction that Nate Newton has dreamt of, and I'm not talking about just 100 yards receiving. I need something big time.
Brock Hoffman will snap the ball.
Once.
You ready? Y'all can say what you want. You ready? You ready for the bold?
Let's go bold.
We're going to have one fumble recovery by defense, and we're going to have a pick six.
That is bold.
Yeah.
That is bold.
Yeah.
I like it.
Man,
Good job, Nate.
That tee helped you out.
Like
What do you think,
that?
DC?
That was good. For me, I'm going both CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens will both top 120 yards in this game, both with a touchdown. Count it, mark it, whatever you got to do. That's going to happen this afternoon.
Ooh, okay, I'm going to go. This Cowboys defensive line gets home 5 times.
Ooh.
On Caleb Williams. I'm calling 5 sacks. Hey, this offensive line for the Bears really struggling, specifically from the tackle position. I'm going 5 sacks all day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y'all heard
Count
me.
You want to be real bold. It's Mozzie get one.
Absolutely.
It's Mozzie get one. That's a bold prediction. All right. Question, all right, not question for you. Here's my bold prediction. Javvante Williams, to my knowledge, had 4 touchdowns all of last season with the Denver Broncos, correct? Yep. Right, he has 3 so far this year through the first 2 games. He gets 2 more and eclipses his total touchdowns from last year. 2 touchdowns on the ground for Mr. Williams. Yeah, add that to it. Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
2 tubs?
2 tutties.
2 more
I like
tubs?
Let's go. 2
Actually,
more.
that's not that crazy.
I like it.
I like it.
Just stay away from Edmonds, the middle linebacker.
And I'm actually going to play off of this. I'm going to say 100 yards rushing for Javvante Williams and 2 100-yard receivers in the game. It doesn't matter who.
That's
yards
bold, italicized, and underlined.
Put some numbers up on the board. Matt Eberflus makes his return to Chicago, the Windy City. Will you remember the 21st night of September? Dallas Cowboys, Chicago Bears, kickoff 3:25 on Fox. Thanks for watching Cowboys Pregame Live.